Have you ever watched a baby interact with their caregiver and wondered, how do they actually communicate? Infants can't talk, but their tiny gestures, facial expressions, and even cries tell a powerful story. Today, we're diving into the science behind infant-caregiver interaction, exploring theories like reciprocity, mirroring, Meltzoff's research, the still face experiment, and the scrambled face experiment. Stay tuned to uncover what really happens when a baby gazes into their caregiver's eyes. First up, we have reciprocity, a fundamental concept in infant-caregiver interaction. Imagine it as a two-way street. When a baby smiles, the caregiver often smiles back. This turn-taking behavior builds the foundation for social communication. Research by Tronick and the still face experiment showed how vital this is. In the experiment, when a mother suddenly stopped responding to her baby's expressions, the baby quickly became distressed, trying to re-engage the mother. This highlights how infants rely on mutual responsiveness to feel secure and understood. But what happens when caregivers fail to respond consistently? Studies suggest it can lead to attachment issues and difficulty in emotional regulation later in life. Now let's talk about mirroring. This is when a caregiver instinctively copies a baby's facial expressions, sounds, or gestures. Andrew Meltzoff's famous study in 1977 demonstrated that even newborns, as young as a few hours old, can mimic adult facial expressions. That means babies are hardwired to connect from birth. Mirroring helps babies develop social skills, understand emotions, and even build neural pathways linked to empathy. However, not all researchers agree on the extent of mirroring in newborns. Some argue it may be more about reflexes than intentional social behavior. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Another fascinating study is the scrambled face experiment. Researchers showed infants images of properly arranged faces and scrambled versions where the features were misplaced. Babies showed a strong preference for the correctly arranged faces, suggesting that even from a very young age they recognize and respond to social cues. This tells us that face perception is an innate skill, but it also raises questions. How much of our ability to recognize faces is learned through interaction versus being pre-programmed in our brains? A huge part of infant-caregiver interaction involves attachment theory, introduced by John Bowlby. Secure attachment develops when caregivers consistently respond to a baby's needs, creating a sense of trust. On the other hand, inconsistent or neglectful interactions can lead to anxious or avoidant attachment styles. Attachment impacts a child's future relationships and emotional well-being. Responsive caregiving isn't about being perfect, but about being good enough to provide security. Research supports this idea, but one criticism is that attachment theory doesn't always account for cultural differences. Caregiving styles vary globally, yet children still thrive in diverse environments. Now, let's evaluate these theories. Research like Meltzoff's, Tronick's, and the scrambled face experiment provides strong evidence that early interactions shape development. Observational studies allow us to see real-time behavior. Theories help caregivers understand the importance of responsiveness. Some studies, like Meltzoff's, face replication issues. Do all newborns really imitate, or is it chance? Experiments like the still face paradigm are artificial. Does this really reflect everyday parenting? Most research is Western-focused, limiting global application. The scrambled face experiment suggests innate recognition, but it doesn't explain how interaction affects facial perception over time. Infant-caregiver interaction is complex, but understanding these scientific insights helps us nurture healthier relationships from the start. What are your thoughts? Do you think babies truly mirror us, or is it just reflex? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into psychology.